a healthcare assistant has launched a legal challenge against the NHS Trust where she works after she claims it excluded her from a leadership course on the grounds it needed to be safe for BAME colleagues. Carol Richardson says this is a racial segregation and is taking York and Scarborough Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust to an employment tribunal to challenge their policy. Well, Carol joins me now. Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's just start at the very beginning of this story. And just tell us what your job is.
Well, I'm a healthcare assistant in the coronary care unit most of the time. I do get moved to the wards at York District Hospital. I worked for over 30 years in insurance, and about 2 years ago, I decided I wanted a part-time job that gave something back.
Yeah.
It's a very rewarding job. It's very tiring, but I love the patient interaction and being part of a great team. A team that is diverse in every sense of the word. And
it should be pointed out, although it actually shouldn't need to be pointed out, but there's never been any complaints or any issues before this inciting incident, which was you reading an internal newsletter, is that right?
It was on the staff intranet last year. I noticed an advert for a new leadership course, maximising your potential leadership for Black, Asian and minority ethnic staff. Reading further on, it stated that there were other leadership courses available, but there weren't any exclusively for Black, Asian and minority ethnics. Apparently, they need a safe space away from their non-BAME colleagues to learn and to be comfortable.
Now, is there any indication that it isn't a safe space being around white colleagues? Because that's the implication, isn't it? If they were to learn about leadership with anybody there who is white, somehow that's not safe.
Well, that is definitely the implication. I mean, I was just flabbergasted. I was just so disappointed. How can you be a leader of a fully, multi-ethnic team, including white people, if you cannot learn and do a course in their presence? I just thought this cannot be right. It just felt totally and utterly wrong.
Yeah, and just to get an indication of that, of course, and I don't like playing this game, but of course, if there was any kind of course that said, to be safe, we're going to do a course just for only white people can attend, that would highlight the ridiculousness of this.
Well, exactly. I believe that when you see something that is wrong, which for me, this is inherently wrong, we need to work together as a team. I feel passionately about that. You've got to call it out. So I wrote letters, emails to the leader of the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion of York Hospital, who are running the course, and I pleaded with them to find other inclusive ways of achieving the same outcome.
This video is sponsored by Saily. Saily is a brand new eSIM service app. What it does is get you a local SIM card that you can use when you're traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a text back home. They've got eSIM plans in over 160 countries and 8 regions, so pretty much wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? Well, all you've got to do is hit our link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan, you can choose the best time frame for you, and then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once, so when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and just like that, you could be watching the GB News YouTube channel. You can be connected anywhere you go, and you don't have to deal with patchy Wi-Fi in your hotels. So get sorted for your next trip by downloading Saily using the link in the description below, and if you use our code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us.
And so I just want to read one of the things, and I don't know if this is where you heard this line, but I couldn't believe it when I read it. You were told, I believe, equality did not mean that everyone is treated the same.
Yes.
That's an incredible sentence to be putting out there into the world.
That was given to me in a letter by the chairman of the board of directors.
OK, so what was the next step? Is that at the point where you contacted the Free Speech Union, I believe? I
did contact the Free Speech Union because there is talking to my other colleagues, everybody was more than supportive, and they all agreed with me that it was divisive and caused racial division rather than working together and being inclusive. Sorry, I lost.
No. It's just but that point is. It's fundamental because so many times what we see in this sort of DEI stuff is the idea is it's meant to promote inclusivity.
Exactly.
And it actually creates division. That's the irony of it.
Exactly. That is exactly the point. And I did contact the Free Speech Union because I was frightened that maybe something that I was doing. There is an air of fear of anything to do with race, whether you are working against racial discord, which is what I am doing. There's a fear there that something is going to happen.
And that's obviously, why so many people don't speak out.
Yeah, nothing has happened against me by my employer, but I also wanted some legal advice. They were very, very good in putting me in touch with the Don't Divide Us group and Alka Siegel-Cuthbert.
Who's going to be coming on the show in a couple of weeks as well. She's wonderful.
Has been a fantastic support, and she was very kindly put me in touch with my legal team.
Well, this is where things get more interesting, because I believe they're challenging the Section 13 of the Equality Act.
Yep.
And this is the first time it's happened. This is racial segregation being prohibited as part of that. And if someone is treated less favourably because of their race, and that's what you are now challenging them on, that you or white people, essentially, or white colleagues are being treated less favourably because of your race, because you don't have this opportunity to do this leadership course.
No, I don't have the opportunity, or my white colleagues do not have the opportunity to do a leadership course with my non-white colleagues. You need to learn from each other. You need to work together to get a good team. You need to be able to talk to each other, know each other's strengths and weaknesses, have each other's backs. How can you do that if you're segregated on the colour of your skin?
Yeah, and they would say that they are putting this through, they're justifying it as positive discrimination. So
positive action.
Positive, yeah. Yes. So the idea is that if there's a group that suffers a disadvantage or participates in an activity disproportionately low, that this allows them to do this. But then they have to prove that, of course, I guess, within this hearing. And that doesn't... But this is... How do your lawyers feel about your case, then, in terms of...
Well, basically, segregation according to skin colour has never been legally endorsed in the history of the UK. So our case is basically seeing whether the actions taken by the NHS is unlawful racial segregation or whether the positive action is lawful. We are testing the racial segregation in the UK, the definition of it in the UK, in 2025.
Because the implications of this aren't, of course, just in the NHS. Many other organisations have been doing similar schemes, which arguably, when you phrase it that this is racial segregation, that's what it is, by definition. But to prove that in a court of law, then this is going to push back against all of those schemes as well.
Yeah, but it's what it does within the working environment. If the leadership is saying it is all right to segregate people on the colour of your skin, then you can start getting teams of people naturally, colleagues are segregating themselves on the colour of the skin, and then the patients are feeling isolated and frightened and not knowing what is happening, even though they're receiving treatment in their own hospitals. And then how does it go out to the wider society? Do we really want to live in a country that is separated, BAME and non-BAME, white and non-white? I definitely don't. And That's why I'm taking the case to the Employment Tribunal in November to argue the case.
Well, you're here to tell us about this case. You're also here to hopefully raise a little bit of money because you're doing a crowdfunder.
Yes.
As well, and it should be pointed out that it's insane, and this isn't just what we've seen on this particular issue, it's across the board in terms of all the gender ideology, but so much of this, the pushback is to common sense and to anti-racism and to anti-misogyny. All of this pushback has been individuals, actually mostly women, who have said enough is enough, taking that stand and forcing change to come back through the courts where we can move back to a society that is fairer, which is, I think, what we're all here for. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us the email address that people can send a bit of money to support your cause. Yeah, have you got it written out?
No.
Well, we've got it. No. I think we can put it up on the screen, actually, because I was ahead of the game. So you should see it on your screen. It's coming up any second. It is there now. Would you mind just reading it out? Because my eyesight is terrible.
Oh, sorry.
.org. What's that again? Notradical3.org. Is that right? OK, well, if you're listening on the radio, you're going to have to Google. You have to Google Carol Richardson. And good luck very much with your case. Thank you so much for coming all the way down. And
Thank you.
OK. York and Scarborough Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust has been approached by GB News but has yet to provide us with a statement. However, in its equality and diversity section on its website, the Trust says we are committed to promoting equality, diversity and human rights in its day-to-day treatment of all patients, visitors and staff, regardless of race, ethnic origin, sex, gender identity, marital status, maternity and pregnancy, disability, religion or belief, sexual orientation or age. The Trust also says the policy is needed to create a safe learning space for BAME colleagues and that it can be justified as positive action under the Equality Act. Now, I should say the web address for Carol's fundraiser is democracy3.org/no to racial segregation. So that's democracy3.org/no to racial segregation. Also, if you would like to donate some funds to my new glasses, just follow me on X for that.